Shalom, I'd like to give all praises to Yahweh, Bashem Yahushai, and all honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who taught us His word. So I kind of, lost my voice a little bit, but a little will I get through this lesson. I just want to talk about, the death and get used to the death that the Lord is going to bring, you know. Because right now over Ukraine, there's a lot of mass death and destruction going on. You had the earthquake over in Turkey not too long ago. 40,000 people died, and all that's going to come to America and throughout the whole planet. So just get used to the death and destruction that the Lord is going to bring. Scriptures talk about the blood being up to the horse's bridle, but this is at MSN.com entitled "Average life expectancy of the frontline soldier in eastern Ukraine is around 4 hours. American fighting in the meat grinder." So they have soldiers over there calling it the meat grinder. There's so much death going on. It's pretty bad on the ground. A lot of casualties. Life expectancy is around 4 hours on the front line. Fighting in Bakhmut is so bad, it's been dubbed the meat grinder. In early January, a senior U.S. military official described combat in and around this town, which may be limited strategic significance to either side, as savage. So there's a lot of death, destruction. So we can look forward to that increasing even more, even up to that day to when the missiles drop. But Joel described it as a day like no other, and will never be after. As Joel 2:2, a day of darkness, a day of gloominess, a day of clouds, thick darkness, and as the morning spread upon the mountains, a great people and a strong. There have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it. So yeah, man, the time that's coming up, man, it's gonna be so bad. Time of Jacob's trouble. Ultimately, it's World War III. It's gonna be so bad as you can't compare it to any other time in history. And it'll never be like it even after it. Next scripture is Revelation 14:18. Another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had a sharp sickle, saying, "Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the cluster of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe." And the angel thrusted his sickle in the earth, and gathered vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of the Lord. They had the destruction that's coming, man. And the winepress was trodden without a city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 10,000, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Yeah, so that blood, it was likened unto, rising up to the horse's bridle, man. And that's a lot of blood, man. Let's flip it over to the NLT, see what it has to say. Sharp sickle. The angel swung his sickle over the earth and loaded the grapes into the winepress of the Most High's wrath. The grapes were trampled in the winepress outside the city, and blowed flood from the winepress into the stream about 180 miles, as long and as high as a horse's bridle. So yeah, the grapes, represents the people and the blood and that destruction, man. There's gonna be a lot of bloodshed in these last times, man. So we're just getting in the beginning of sorrows, of the death that the Most High is showing, the Most High is doing. Yeah, there's going to be so much destruction that the birds, are going to feast. The fowls of the air, are going to feast on all the dead bodies, man. It's Revelation 19:11, and I saw heaven open, and behold a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True. Yeah, I was shy, man. coming back in the chariot. And in righteousness he doth judge and make war. His eyes were a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had the name written that no man knew but himself. Yeah, and he's going to come and take all these crowns. He's coming to conquer and conquering and to conquer, you know. I was skipping down to verse 17, and I saw an angel standing in the sun, and he cried with a loud voice, saying to all the fowls that fly in the midst of heaven, come and gather yourselves together unto the supper of the great power, that you may eat the flesh of kings, and the flesh of captains, the flesh of mighty men, and the flesh of horses, and them that sit on them, and the flesh of all men. Yeah, so I mean, the birds are going to have a great feast, and there's going to be so much death and destruction out here, man. Um, yeah, this is this is Ezekiel 39:1. Therefore, son of man, prophesy against Gog, and say, thus says the Lord power, behold, I'm against thee, O Gog, chief prince of Meshach and Tubal. Gog, Gog and Magog is Russia today. Uh, thou shalt fall, skipping down to verse 4, thou shalt fall upon the mountains of Israel, thou and all thy bands, and all the people with thee. I will give thee unto the ravenous birds of every sort, and to the beasts of the field to be devoured. Thou shalt fall upon the open field, for I have spoken it. And I will send fire on Magog and Agog among them that dwell carelessly in the isles, and they shall know that I am the Lord. So I'll make my holy name known in the midst of my people Israel, and I will not let them pollute my holy name anymore. And the heathen shall know that I'm the Lord, the Holy One of Israel. So the Lord's going to make himself known, man. The Lord's going to get his respect. He's getting his glory in the heavens right now. When he comes back, the Lord's going to get his glory right here on the planet Earth, man. Behold, it is come, and it is done, saith the Lord power. And this is the day whereof I have spoken. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both shields and bucklers, and bows and arrows, and handstaffs and spears. They shall burn them with fire 7 years, so that they shall take no wood out of the field, neither cut down any of the forests, for they shall burn the weapons with fire, and they shall spoil those that have spoiled them, and rob those that robbed them, saith the Lord power. So yeah, you're gonna take all the weapons and burn them, without wood. That's spiritual power, man. So that's gonna fulfill, Joel, where it says, neither shall be any more after it. Because all the weapons, there's not gonna be any more war. All these weapons of war, these missiles, these tanks, the elect men, Yahweh Shai, they're gonna destroy all the weapons, after this great and terrible day of the Lord, man. And you'll learn of war no more. It shall come to pass in that day, I will give unto Gog a place there of the graves of Israel, in the valley of passengers on the east of the sea. And it shall stop the noses of the passengers. And there shall they bury Gog and all his multitude. And they shall call it the valley of Hamnon Gog. 7 months shall the house of Israel be burying of them, that they may cleanse the land. Yeah, so, because read down verse 14, we're going to draw out men, several men of continual employment. And they're the ones that are going to be burying all these bodies, Yea, all the people of the land shall bury them, and it shall be to them a renown that the day that I shall be glorified, saith the Lord power, and they shall sever all men of continual employment. And as a slavery, we're going to enslave all the other nations, and they're going to do all the burying, passing through the land to bury with the passengers and the travelers that come through, those that remain upon the face of the earth, to cleanse it. After 7 months, they shall search. Yeah, so, burying those bodies to replenish the earth. Be used as kind of like as fertilizer. You know, and the passengers that pass through the land, when they seeth a man's bone, they shall set up a sign by it, until the buriers have buried it in the valley of Hemnon. Here we go. Skip to verse 17. And thou, son of man, saith the Lord power, speak unto every feathered fowl and every beast of the field, assemble yourselves and come. Gather yourselves on every side to my sacrifice that I do sacrifice, and a great sacrifice upon the mountains of Israel, that ye may eat flesh and drink blood. So yeah, the point, the fowls of the air, they're gonna get that feast. You know, so much death and destruction, is gonna come, to this land over there, man, and all around the planet. The last scripture, Isaiah 2:4. And he shall judge among the nations, and shall rebuke many people, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war any more. Yeah, fulfilling the prophecy of burning, just like we read in Ezekiel. They shall burn all the weapons, with no wood, that spiritual power. And they that dwell in the cities of Israel shall go forth, and shall set on fire and burn the weapons, both the shields and the bucklers. And also fulfilling the prophecy of Joel, neither shall there be any more after it. There have not been ever the like, great that day of the Lord, neither shall there be any more after it. So after this day, they shall not learn of war no more. There's not going to be any more wars, But yeah, I just wanted to bring that out, just get used to more death and destruction. An American fighting in Ukraine and described it as a meat grinder. The average life expectancy on that front line right now is about 4 hours. And it's just going to get worse and worse. It's just going to increase death and destruction, Yeah, but with that, shalom.